Most people who live in Newark have heard rumors about the abandoned Briarwood Orphanage, a brick building that sits behind a locked iron fence, surrounded by overgrown shrubs and a collapsing playground. But almost no one knows what lies beneath it, and those who do refuse to talk. For decades, the city has quietly kept the truth buried, sealing off entrances, paving over tunnels, and making sure no official records survive. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. Not in a place where so many children vanished without explanation. I learned the truth because of my cousin, Ethan, a documentary filmmaker who was obsessed with uncovering what he called narratives the government fears. Normally, I ignored his conspiracy rabbit holes, but this time was different. He showed me a torn blueprint he found while digging through old municipal archives. It showed Briarwood Orphanage and something handwritten beneath it. Sublevel 3, unauthorized wing. Why would an orphanage need 3 underground levels? He asked. I had no answer. Ethan told me we were going inside the orphanage that weekend, the only time the city shut down patrols in the area. I wanted to say no, but something about the map bothered me. A sense that something about this place had always been wrong. We entered through a broken bathroom window behind the old cafeteria. The moment we climbed through, dust filled the air like thick fog. The smell hit next, mold, wet wood, and something faintly metallic. Flashlights cut across peeling wallpaper decorated with fading cartoon animals. Their faces looked warped, stretched by decades of moisture, like they were trying to scream. The large hallway ahead had doors on both sides, classrooms, dormitories, playrooms. All of them left exactly as they were the day the place shut down in 1979. Tiny shoes still sat lined against a wall. A chalkboard listed a movie night that never happened. A small teddy bear sat in the middle of the hall, its button eye missing. Why would they leave everything behind? I whispered. Ethan didn't answer. He was staring at something else, a deep scratch on the wall. Not like vandalism. No initials. No symbols. Just long, uneven claw-like marks. We moved deeper, stepping over fallen ceiling tiles and broken glass. The silence was strange. Not peaceful, but expectant, like the building was holding its breath. Every sound we made echoed unnaturally far. Then we heard it. A soft tapping. Consistent, rhythmic. Tap, 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 like someone knocking on wood far below us. Basement, Ethan muttered. We found the basement stairs behind a half-collapsed door. Every step creaked. The air grew colder as we descended. The tapping grew louder. At the bottom, we found a massive metal door built into the wall, completely out of place in an orphanage. It looked reinforced, industrial, like something designed to withstand force. On the floor in front of it were deep drag marks, as if someone had been pulled toward the door, fresh enough that dust hadn't settled. A rusted sign above the door read, "Authorized personnel only, sublevel access." Ethan pushed the handle. It didn't budge. Then the tapping stopped, followed by a slow scrape, like nails dragging down steel from the other side of the door. We froze. Then something hit the door from behind, hard enough to make the metal shudder. Once, twice, then a rapid series of blows like fists pounding to get out. We bolted up the stairs, nearly tripping as our flashlights shook. But when we reached the ground floor again, the hallway sounded different. There were noises, whispering, multiple voices, children's voices. They weren't words, just soft murmuring like distant conversations blending together. And then we saw them. Small footprints, forming right in front of us in the dust. One after another, as if invisible children were walking toward us. Your brain tries to rationalize in moments like this, but instinct takes over. We ran. Ethan led us into a staff office and shut the door quietly. The whispering faded for a moment. Inside, old filing cabinets rusted shut, but one drawer, the top drawer, sat slightly open. Inside were photographs, dozens of children, black and white prints. No names, just numbers. And every child had the same hollow expression, not sadness, not fear, emptiness. One photo made me gasp. A boy in the corner of the group shot, eyes rolled upward like he wasn't looking at the camera, but at something above him. His mouth was slightly open like he was whispering to something unseen. Behind the photo stack was a note, handwritten in shaking pen. "They don't sleep. They don't forget. They don't forgive. Before we could process it, we heard soft footsteps in the hallway. Slow. Methodical. Not a child. Heavier. Ethan peeked through the keyhole. "There's someone out there," he whispered. The footsteps grew closer, stopping right outside the door. Then whoever was outside exhaled, slow, raspy, like lungs filled with thick fluid. The doorknob turned. We both jumped back, but the door only opened an inch before catching on the swollen wood. For a second, a pale hand forced through the gap, fingers long, thin, almost gray. It withdrew suddenly, and the footsteps faded down the hall. We knew staying wasn't an option. Ethan insisted we go back to the basement. "Whatever's down there explains everything," he said. I told him he was insane, but he was already moving. We reached the metal door again, and this time, it was slightly open, like someone, or something, had unlocked it for us. Every instinct screamed to leave, but Ethan pulled the door open. Behind it was a stairway leading down into complete darkness. A cold draft blew from below, carrying the faint smell of bleach, rot, and old electricity. We descended slowly. The stairs went deeper than an orphanage basement had any right to. When we finally reached the bottom, the flashlight revealed a vast underground hall filled with old medical equipment. Exam tables, restraints, metal cabinets, a row of small beds with leather straps. On the walls were drawings, obviously made by children. Red crayon, always red. Stick figures with hollow eyes. Tall, shadowy shapes behind them. Some drawings had multiple children crossed out. "This wasn't an orphanage," I whispered. "It was an experiment." A distant thud echoed behind us, then another. We turned. At the far end of the hallway, something stepped into view. The shape of a child, but too thin, too still. Its head tilted unnaturally far to one side. It stood motionless, facing us. Then another figure appeared beside it. Then a third. Dozens of small silhouettes slowly emerged from the darkness, filling the corridor. And all at once, the whispering began again, louder this time, overlapping, echoing until it became unbearable. Ethan grabbed my arm. "Run." We sprinted up the stairs, through the metal door, slamming it behind us. The pounding began again immediately, dozens of small fists hammering from the other side. We raced back through the orphanage. Doors slammed behind us. Lights flickered even though there was no power. The hall seemed longer, stretched like the building was shifting to keep us inside. Finally, we reached the bathroom window and crawled out, collapsing on the overgrown grass. The orphanage fell silent. That silence has haunted me ever since. 2 days later, Ethan went back alone. He didn't come home. Authorities claimed they found no trace of him inside the building. No bag, no camera, nothing. They said he probably left the area and disappeared of his own accord. But I know the truth. The metal door to sublevel 3 was wide open when they searched. And sometimes, when I drive past the old orphanage, I swear I see a small figure in the window, tilting its head at me, waiting.